No.
Or you don't think so?
No.
Do we know that Plagueis was Palpatine's apprentice? And I'm like, yeah.
Supporting women's wrongs. And that doesn't just go for Osha and May. It goes for Vernestra too. It's just another episode of the Clone Wars for them.
What's up, everyone, and welcome to the weekly Q&A. I'm Alex.
I'm Molly.
And we're going to be answering a bunch of questions about the Acolyte. That's what this whole thing is going to be about. But first, we wanted to give a shout out to Acolytes for Equality. They are doing a charity stream later on today. I'm going to put a link in the description so you can find it and go watch it. It's run by a bunch of our friends, a great group of people.
They are supporting a charity called Equality Now, which Amanda Listenberg is a big supporter of and received an award from. And what they do is basically fighting for women's rights. So yeah, it's for a great cause. Go check out their live stream and donate.
We also wanted to shout out our friend Ryan from Finding the Force, a YouTube channel. I'll link to them as well. We got to meet Ryan last week at the Star Wars Outlaws event, which we still can't really talk about yet, but soon, I promise. But Ryan was kind enough to give us some lightsabers from the Acolyte, Souls and Andaras, that look great. They're nice and thin, which I appreciate. But
I'm gonna have to message Carly King and be like, okay, I'm ready for my lessons now.
Right? Yeah, teach me to twirl. But wanted to say thank you, Ryan. And finally, I wanted to mention Mosh Isley again because they are coming to Atlanta in Dragon Con. It's a great punk pop emo party, which is perfect for Dragon Con. It's going to be the Thursday before Dragon Con actually starts. We're going. It's run by some major Star Wars fans at the Thank the Maker podcast, so obviously they'll be there. It'll be a really fun Star Wars-y emo party, and we're just trying to help get the word out.
It's going to be a great kickoff for the weekend.
Honestly, I can't think of a better way to start Dragon Con for me personally.
I'm a little worried for our Friday morning panels.
But let's get started with some Acolyte questions. Our first one, popular question from Chandler, Andrew, Kylo Ren, and Raptor, all asking, is Plagueis behind the creation of the twins?
No.
Or you don't think so?
No. That's our main question?
Yeah.
No.
I think it's a valid question. Okay, let's talk about the evidence. I think that there is a chance that he is. It's either that he had a hand in it, or he will be very interested to learn more about them. So there is the shot from the finale where Sol tells May, like, your mother found a way to use the Force to create life. And the stranger kind of perks up and looks at him. And we don't know what that look means yet. It could just be that he's going, oh, I have a friend who would like to hear about this. Or it could mean that he is like, oh, Sol knows.
Mm.
And also, I do think there's an unanswered question from Coral telling Mother Anastasia, like, what happens when the Jedi find out how you made them. And it might just be that it's you meddled with the Force. Or it might be like, we were working with a Sith Lord.
I get the sense that Plagueis isn't really working with people very publicly right now. He seems very much hiding in the shadows.
Creeping in his little cave.
Literally hiding in the shadows. I think he is more interested to learn more about how they were created rather than being responsible for it. I don't want to give him credit for this, is what I'm saying.
It's something that I can see going either way, and I am totally fine if it's like, this is how he learns about manipulating the midichlorians to create life. Like, we know that, according to Palpatine, if he's not lying, Plagueis had that skill. So, where did he learn it? Maybe it was in experiments with the witches, or maybe it's fully from him hearing about this and being like, let me go check out this Virgins. Like, Bryndock could be a place we continue to visit throughout the course of this whole story.
Does Plagueis have that skill, or is he aspiring to have that skill?
According to Palpatine, he could use the midichlorians to create life. The thing that he was trying to do was learn how to cheat death and didn't quite get there.
I guess I always thought that he was just telling Anakin that to be like, yeah, this power can help save Padme.
He was saying the power to cheat death is something only one person has found out before, which I think is a stretch of the truth. But as far as using the midichlorians to create life, I think that Plagueis probably did that.
Okay. Whose life?
I don't know. Adam Lance Garcia and Omega Wolf ask, how does Plagueis' appearance here match up with his appearances in Star Wars Legends? So I do think that this is going to have to change some things about like the novel Darth Plagueis, which I love, but I'm already just mentally preparing for that. And honestly, I think I was already doing that because Lucasfilm has been so hesitant to show Plagueis in anything. Like, anytime they have depicted him visually, it's just a dude in a cloak with eyes, like glowing eyes.
Very creepy.
Right. Still creepy. That's what they wanted to get across. Creepy person.
But we've seen Munes before, at least, so we have that to look forward to.
Right. And I was kind of preparing myself to meet a totally new version of Plagueis that wasn't even immune.
Oh.
That's what I'm saying, is that I was already in this headspace of like, he's probably going to be different. Same thing of like when we were discussing if Darth Tenebris would be in it, would he be a Bith or not? Who knows? But yeah, like this is set earlier than the Darth Plagueis novel, which starts with Plagueis killing Tenebris. So I kind of get the sense that Plagueis is already the master here, and that Qimir, the stranger, is his apprentice. So that's already going to just mix things up.
Right. Well, I guess I don't know anything about Plagueis, really. I haven't read the Darth Plagueis novel. I just know he was the master to Darth Sidious and the spiel from Revenge of the Sith. So, but we do know that he at one point was on an island that had cortosis on it, right? Or was that Tenebris?
That's Legends in the Darth Plagueis novel, yeah.
Okay.
So yeah, like they are doing some stuff that does seem to connect back to the novel, but all the stuff with Tenebris, maybe that all happened earlier in the timeline. There's Darth Venomous potentially running around, which people have asked, is the stranger like the new version of Darth Venomous? And I don't really think so. I think we're going to get a new version of the Plagueis story.
Yeah.
Like, I guess I'm still just preparing myself that he's probably not Higo Damask of the Intergalactic Banking Clan.
Darn.
Yeah, he seems much more, like you said, hiding in the shadows rather than like, I am a public figure,
right?
That's deeply involved in Republic government. Maybe he is, but so far, he seems very just hidden away.
Yeah, I mean, giving him kind of a newish story makes sense to me because just taking, we got a Darth Plagueis name drop in the prequels, so we can really just start from there and start fresh. We don't have to have Darth Tenebris or Darth Venomous. We can have Plagueis on this mystery island that has cortosis, and then we can have Qimir and Osha.
Yeah, I am fully expecting a new version. I think maybe when they can, there will be nods to what came before, but like most things in Star Wars, there are definitely just very hardcore fans of that book. I consider myself to be one of them. I'm not going to get bent out of shape if or when they change how it all went down. I know some people will, but most people have never read that book. Like, I even still get questions. I got questions this week of like, do we know that Plagueis was Palpatine's apprentice? And I'm like, yeah, like that has been established. So I think that is going to be the main through line here, that eventually Plagueis will meet Palpatine and train him, but he will have had maybe a couple other apprentices along the way, and through that killed off the stranger, maybe killed off Osha, who knows? Like, I see this as very foreboding for the two of them.
Good for him. Honestly, good for Plagueis. He really stuck it out.
Yeah.
We don't know how old he is exactly, when he came about his love for the dark side and decided, you know what, I'm going to do this. I'm going to be a Sith. And then roughly follow the rule of two now that Qimir and Osha are in the mix. But yeah, like, he stuck with it.
I think we have a question about the rule of two coming up, but I think that in that way, it actually is kind of true to what happened in the novel, because Plagueis was someone who had every intent of ruling forever. He wanted to live forever, and he was fine with Palpatine being like the emperor, but really he would be, I'm still your Sith master, I'm still pulling the strings.
Mm-hmm.
And I just don't think he ever had it in his mind that Sidious could kill him.
Yeah.
And so the idea that he continued to have Sith apprentices that he would toss aside is a very Palpatine thing to do as well.
Yeah.
But
it's just,
I like that.
The rule of two is so very flawed when it comes to the Sith, and it's crazy that, you know, they stuck with that for so long. But I guess they did that because when there was too many of them, it was just total chaos. But yeah, there's always going to be one Sith that, yeah, wants to live forever, wants to be in power forever. And after Plagueis, you know, Palpatine did a pretty good job at staying around for a very long time.
Yep. Warmer, sunnier days are here. Fuel up for them with Factor's no prep, no mess meals. Meet your health goals in time for summer thanks to the menu of chef-crafted meals with options like Calorie Smart, Protein Plus, and Keto. Factor's fresh, never frozen meals are dietitian approved and ready to eat in just 2 minutes, so no matter how busy you are, you'll always have time to enjoy nutritious, great tasting meals. With our hectic schedule, even making a good lunch is difficult for me. Factor's 2-minute meals let you fuel up fast with restaurant-quality meals delivered right to your door. Factor also offers breakfast options like pancakes, smoothies, and more. There's no prep and no mess. Factor meals are ready to heat and eat, so there's no prepping, cooking, or cleanup needed. Get as much or as little as you need by choosing your meals every week. Plus, you can pause or reschedule your deliveries anytime. Factor is less expensive than takeout, and every meal is dietitian approved to be nutritious and delicious. Factor is the perfect solution if you're looking for fast, premium options with no cooking required. Head to factormeals.com/StarWars50 and use code StarWars50 to get 50% off your first box plus 20% off your next month. That's code StarWars50 at factormeals.com/StarWars50 to get 50% off your first box plus 20% off your next month while your subscription is active. I think the rule of two question was kind of lumped in with these following questions, but Pedantic Pirate, Spider-Man of Earth 1218, and Zacharias ask, does Qimir know that Plagueis is watching him? And I think someone asked, you know, is Plagueis following the rule of two, or is he just spying on these people? Like, how does basically Osha play into this? And first of all, Plagueis and Tenebris, it's been a while since I've read that novel, but I believe there was some discussion about them kind of, we follow the rule of two, but we don't really believe in it, and it might be time for all that to end. So I get the sense, personally, based on what we saw on the show and based on a couple things that Leslie Headland has said in interviews, I do think that Plagueis is there watching the Stranger. I think the Stranger knows that Plagueis is around and that he has a master that he answers to. Mm-hmm. I kind of think that Plagueis is entertaining the idea that, yeah, I'll let Qimir, the Stranger, whatever his real name is, have a student for a while. He can have his little acolyte just to appease him, but eventually I'm going to kill her, or I'll kill him and take her. Like, I think that's how this relationship is going down.
I think, yeah, Plagueis at this point probably thinks this is a win-win for me, because now they can kind of prove to me which one will be more useful, which one is more powerful.
Especially if he doesn't know already, or if he finds out and he's like, wait, you were created from the Force? And he might immediately take a liking to Osha and be like, let's dig into that.
Light bulb moment.
Yeah, let me learn
Plagueis.
more about that. So he might immediately shift his sights to her the same way Palpatine, after losing Maul, was like, who's this Anakin kid? We'll keep an eye on you. In the meantime, I'll get Dooku and he can be my Sith apprentice. Like, fine, whatever.
Yeah.
But really, I'm just waiting for you.
I'll be really interested to see if we learn any more about, like, when Qimir started training with Plagueis, if that's the case, when Qimir met May and started training her. Like, there are a lot of questions surrounding that island and Plagueis and Qimir. So it's not something that's going to keep me up at night, but if they go into their story further going forward, I would love to know more about, just a little bit more about where this all started with Qimir specifically.
If we get a second season, I kind of expect we will continue to have flashbacks, and maybe it'll have like the same structure where we get like a couple episodes flashback to how Qimir met Plagueis, a couple episodes, and then flashback to how Qimir met May. Could still be an interesting way to tell that story.
Who knows? Maybe Vernestra knows who Plagueis is. Doesn't know he's a Sith. Maybe she knows his politically correct name. What is it? Hugo.
Hugo. I like that.
Hugo
like
Box.
you change one letter and he immediately like a little less scary. Hugo Damask.
Hugo Damask.
And yeah, like that is in the Plagueis novel. He was a well-known person, so he wasn't completely hiding in the shadows. So it is a little bit like Palpatine, where we're like, yeah, we know that banker.
Maybe he's a friend of that senator.
I could see it. Like, I could see Rayancourt being manipulated, pushed by someone else with power, someone influential, be like, don't you think those Jedi need to be taken down a peg? And he's like, you know what? I do think that.
Yeah. So, not to say Senator Rayancourt, didn't have this idea originally, but it's totally possible that, yeah, someone planted that seed in his head and he was like, oh, okay, this can get me some political power.
Right. Ormappa, Oncoming Storm, and Pedantic Pirate ask, how do we reconcile Vernestra's actions with how she appears in the books? This is kind of a tough one for me. I mean, I get it. It's been a century. She's still just acting in a way that bums me out because I'm used to reading about her at the age of 16 and 17, where she's just like a prodigy of a Jedi, and to know that this is how she winds up. I've said it in some of the live streams, but I do think that the book Temptation of the Force shows us some things that I'm like, okay, I think I can see how she would get from here to there, especially with like her distrust of the Jedi Council, but she does seem to be going to them, or at least Yoda at the end. So yeah, I can see a way that it pans out, but also we have a handful of books left in the High Republic publishing side of things that could show it a little more strongly connected.
Yeah. One of the biggest things about this show that I love is supporting women's wrongs. And that doesn't just go for Osha and May, it goes for Vernestra too. She's had so much pressure put on her over the years because of being a child prodigy. She's been around for almost forever. Not that long, but she's been around for a long, long time.
I mean, I would say it's a long, long time.
So the fact that she has her own little secret to hide...
A couple, I guess.
Does not surprise me whatsoever.
Yeah, I mean, it's true that we all knew. Soul, you probably have some skeletons in your closet. She, being an extra 100 years older, like, yeah, you probably do too. Makes me wonder how many mistakes Yoda's hiding. Who knows? Like, we think of him as just like this ultimate Jedi, but he's made mistakes. He's admitted to them.
Yeah.
But maybe not all of them.
You think of anyone that has gone down in history for being like a really good person, they've made mistakes along the way.
Oh, yeah.
And that stuff doesn't always go in the history books, but it's there, So this doesn't really make me think of Vernestra any differently, to be honest. It makes her even maybe more appealing to me that she is struggling with this thing that she thought was completely gone and covered up. And now she's like, oh no, Chimir's still alive. And yeah, we don't know what kind of conversation she's going to have with Yoda. In my mind, she's going to go and maybe give him close to the truth.
I think so.
I do think she's going to ask for help and say that she made a mistake and this situation could get really messy if I don't fess up at least partially to it now. That's what I'm hoping to see, but no guarantees.
I think that she will tell him the truth. I don't think you can really hide the truth from Yoda all that well.
You can, but he's going to know about it.
Right. Like, you can lie, but he'll probably know something is up. So I feel like, there were already Jedi on Bryndock that know that the story she told the senators, there's some holes there.
Mm-hmm.
So I feel like that's just a lie she told to the Senate. And the Jedi are like, all right, let's get together and figure out how we're going to handle this.
Those other Jedi, too, like, I don't think they're ever going to really think much about this again. Like, Vernestra was the only Jedi at that Senate meeting. And yes, it will have ramifications for the Jedi, but those other specific Jedi that were on Bryndock, they're just going to go back to their training.
Yeah, they're going to go on another mission and be like, well, that was sad.
Well, anyways, yeah, it's just another episode of the Clone Wars for them.
Bradley Scanlon and It's Wolfie ask who was on the phone with Vernestra in that one scene. She was saying, like, it's urgent that I get in touch with him. I know it's unorthodox. I think it was Yoda. I think that's a pretty cut and dry.
That was Yoda's PA.
Or, yeah, excuse me. Yeah, the person that is in between Jedi middle management and Yoda.
Yeah, whatever position Mog has, the High Council has that same dude essentially in some kind of receptionist desk.
Yeah,
taking all their calls.
Yes, it was someone that she was trying to get in touch with Yoda. That's all that was.
I saw people saying, "Oh, it sounded like Palpatine." How would he be on the phone with the Jedi
as a baby? As a baby that's not even born yet.
The voice may have sounded familiar to some, but I think he was just some other receptionist working.
Yes,
with
Jedi
the
receptionist. She was trying to reach Yoda. Chris Ray, Jake Schnackenberg, and Hudsonizer all ask, is Qimir actually Emery? This is something I keep seeing pop up, and I don't think this at all.
Because there's similar letters.
Because you can't spell
name?
Qimir without the same letters as Emery. And, I mean, there's more than that, because we know that Qimir, the Stranger, was a Padawan of Vernestra's, and he does say it was a long time ago, but I feel like we're bending over backwards to make it be Emery.
Mm.
And Emery, the last that we saw him in Defy the Storm, was knighted by Vernestra. He's doing great work as a Jedi Knight. He doesn't look anything like Qimir.
He's like a big, beefy, blonde boy.
Yeah. So, I have to admit that the technology exists for Obi-Wan Kenobi to have his face changed and to look like Reiko Hardeen. But I feel like we are, again, just really stretching to make this theory work when it makes so much more sense that in her storied career, Vernestra would have had another Padawan. That makes more sense to me.
Manny Jacinto has been very vocal about supporting Asian American actors. No way he would have accepted this role if it was going to turn out that they were actually this other character who is not Asian. No way.
Yeah, I think Emery is long dead, unfortunately. I hope he died peacefully, well after all of the Nile madness.
Yeah, I mean, Vernestra named her ship after him, so I assume that happened after he passed.
Right. And it would be kind of strange if she named her ship after her Padawan that became evil. Mm-hmm. Like, maybe it could be just a reminder of what happened, but I don't know. It just doesn't track for me.
Plus, I think Qimir was kind of a play on Qamar, which was Arabic for moon, to be kind of an opposite to soul, meaning sun, moon and sun. That all works great for me. I don't need to look into it any further than that.
Kevin Dragos, Caleb Diaz, and Robert Rodriguez ask, will Yoda and Vernestra find out about the Rule of Two? I think that's where we are headed if it gets a second season, or even if it continues on in books or whatever. I think that makes a lot of sense, that Vernestra wants May to help her track down the Stranger. She's telling Yoda about it. Yoda knows about the Rule of Two in The Phantom Menace, so how does he learn about that information?
Yeah, I do think it would be interesting to go into this in season 2 and have it be like, I'm trying to figure out how this information would get to Yoda. So maybe it's a situation where Vernestra finds out this information and tells Yoda and then is killed in this show, which would be sad. But, you know, like, there can't be too many people that know about this.
Agreed.
That last too long.
Mace did not seem to be surprised when Yoda said it. So, yeah, maybe like the very top, even the tippy top of the council are the only people that know. I still believe Ki-Adi-Mundi, when he says the Sith have been extinct for a millennium, I think he means that earnestly, because that's all he knows in his big old head. But
that's the only fact that's in there.
I know this, and I know that Dooku is a political idealist and not a murderer.
And he loves Wookiees.
Yeah. What about that droid attack on the Wookiees? Okay, he knows 3 things. And he loves ice. Okay, so that's my Ki-Adi-Mundi rant for
Those
the day.
are the compartments of his brain.
Yeah.
Ice, Sith, question mark?
But I do think that he believes they've been gone. I think that someone probably lied to him at some point. But yeah, I've been on board with the idea that this show will involve an even bigger Jedi cover-up of, okay, we found out that the Sith were around. I still think there's a chance that they might kill the stranger at some point and be like, whew, that was close. Glad the Sith are all dead again. And have no idea about Plagueis.
Yeah, I kind of always got the feeling that Yoda was the only one that knew about the Rule of 2. Mace doesn't look shocked, but
he was just trying to play it cool.
He was also kind of like,
totally, I know about that.
A lot of Mace's reactions in the prequels are kind of like,
right.
You know, so it makes sense to me that Yoda being the, what's his title?
Grandmaster,
the oldest and super smartest of them all or something.
That's on his business card.
Yeah. It makes sense to me that he would maybe learn this information and say, you know what, it would probably get messy if I started telling everyone, even all the High Council members. I'm just going to keep this one to myself for now.
Or it could be something that, like, they find out and they'll say, yes, we learned that in some textbook we found, an ancient Sith textbook at a weird Sith academy. Always two there are. Like, They could just present it as knowledge.
This has been in the library this whole time.
Yeah.
It definitely wasn't in my private collection.
Present it as knowledge, and then all the Jedi have that same question we have. Like, how do you know that, Yoda? But we know. We know how he knows.
But it's like, he's not keeping that information for nefarious reasons. He's keeping it safe, I think, because the more people that know about it, I think the more danger that puts them in.
Sure. I mean, I think that people would not like that. I'm into it. The idea that Yoda might cover something up, but people sometimes act like Yoda is flawless. And like in Star Wars Rebels and in the Clone Wars, he admits to his own flaws and the mistakes that he has made. So I don't know. Some people, have a real hard time with Jedi fallibility, with Luke's fallibility, and like Yoda also made mistakes.
There's a lot of wiggle room to talk about here. There's lies, there's cover-ups, and then there's need-to-know basis.
Yeah.
Like, there are...
Those are the parts of Yoda's brain.
Yeah. He's so old, he's like, I gotta figure this out. I mean, every circumstance, I think, is unique in the Jedi's perspective. And yeah, I think that is a case to be made for need-to-know basis.
Yeah. I mean, he made that same decision about the Nameless in the High Republic books, so it's not something that he's never done before. That's all the time we have for questions today. If you want to leave a question for next week's video, just put it in the comments below or sign up for Patreon to join our weekly Q&A. If you haven't already, please like this video, subscribe to the channel.
Follow us on Twitter, Instagram, TikTok, Threads, and Blue Sky.
And as always, thanks for watching, and may the Force be with you.